World War II pushed American soldiers into conditions few at home could imagine. Long nights in frozen forests. Endless marches through mud and rain. Weeks without real rest. And in the middle of all that, food was never about taste. It was about survival. Yet behind the standard rations and metal cans, there were strange, forgotten dishes, foods improvised in the field or packed in early ration kits, that carried soldiers through some of the hardest days of the war. These meals weren't celebrated, and they certainly weren't delicious, but to the men who fought, they were a lifeline. Today, we're going back to those front lines to uncover 5 forgotten foods American soldiers truly ate. And if you enjoy stories like this, consider staying with us till the end. There's still so much of old America left to uncover. 1. Chopped meat and potato hash. Before modern rations became organized, many soldiers received a crude mixture simply known as hash. It arrived in dented cans or rough containers, a blend of chopped meat, fat, and potatoes that looked more like survival paste than a meal. But when a field kitchen had time, just a few minutes, they heated it in a skillet until steam began to rise. The smell wasn't appetizing, but the warmth meant everything. Out in the Ardennes or across the sands of North Africa, soldiers didn't have the luxury of choice. They ate what came, and hash gave them enough strength to push through another march, another trench, another impossible day. Many veterans later said the taste wasn't memorable, what they remembered was the moment of heat in a world that felt cold and unforgiving. 2. Powdered eggs and bitter coffee. Powdered eggs became infamous among American troops. Bright yellow, dusty, and too light to feel real, they clumped together in strange shapes when mixed with water. Cooked quickly in a pan, they took on a rubbery texture that no seasoning could fully save. Soldiers washed them down with coffee so weak and bitter they joked it wasn't coffee at all, just hot water that remembered coffee. But on cold mornings before a push through enemy lines, that warmth meant comfort. For a brief moment, men gathered around small stoves or makeshift fires, holding tin cups, sharing silence before the war swallowed them again. No one loved powdered eggs. But no one forgot them either. 3. Canned cheese spread. Hidden inside some K-Ration boxes was a strange little can simply labeled cheese spread. Thick, salty, and oddly sticky, it didn't resemble any cheese soldiers knew from home. But because it lasted forever and paired with almost anything, crackers, bread, a slice of Spam, it became an unexpected companion in the field. Men carried it through mud, across rivers, and into bombed-out villages. Some saved it for the worst days because it was high in fat and calories, just enough to keep them going. And in the darkest moments, they joked that if the war didn't end soon, the cheese spread might outlast all of them. Strange, cheap, and unforgettable, another food lost to time. 4. Hardtack and raisins. Hardtack was a relic from earlier American wars, but when supply lines strained or fresh rations ran thin, it returned to the platoons. Hard as stone and nearly flavorless, it could break teeth if eaten dry. Soldiers softened it in coffee, water, or even canned fruit juice when they had it. Paired with a handful of raisins, it became a makeshift meal that delivered just enough energy to keep moving. It wasn't pleasant, but it filled empty stomachs during long stretches where the only other option was nothing. Many soldiers swore they would never touch hardtack again after the war, yet decades later, they still told stories about it. It became a symbol of endurance, a reminder of how far they pushed their bodies in the name of survival. 5. Vegetable stew with meat, the mystery can. Among all wartime meals, none earned more suspicion than the can labeled simply, vegetable stew with meat. Soldiers called it, the mystery can, because no one could agree on what the meat actually was. Some cans tasted fine. Others tasted, wrong. Storage conditions, humidity, and time made each can a gamble. Inside was a pale gravy with peas, carrots, and small chunks of something that might have been beef, or might have been something else entirely. Soldiers heated it when they could, ate it cold when they couldn't, and prayed for a good batch. Despite its reputation, the stew followed troops from France to the Pacific Islands, becoming an unspoken part of their daily battle. It wasn't loved. But it was there when nothing else was. These meals weren't heroic or celebrated, but they carried American soldiers through some of the darkest years of the 20th century. Every can, every ration, every strange improvised dish helped sustain men who were cold, exhausted, and far from home. And as we look back on these forgotten foods, we also remember the people who ate them, their courage, their endurance, and the quiet moments of humanity they held on to in the middle of war. If you want more stories from America's past, its food, its struggles, its forgotten corners, make sure you're here for the next video. There's always another piece of history waiting to be rediscovered.